Good morning. Here we are. Not sure there's anyone here. Oh, I see one person. Two people. Okay. So there are some people. Um Tuesday, counting down to Thanksgiving. Um so we normally do like a Thanksgiving, cook a bird, and although it's funny, right? So another weird year, but the past few years we haven't done Thanksgiving really on Thanksgiving because two of my kids worked in restaurants and they were always working. So we would do it some other day. But of course, now everyone's here. And as it happens, my son is off that day too. So my oldest. So everybody's going to be here. But we aren't having my brother and his family because I haven't really seen them that much. And they're all, the kids. Well, I guess maybe the kids are back remote school, but they were doing regular school for a while. And of course, my brother's out at work every day. So we've kind of kept our bubbles to ourselves. Um, I see him in passing because he lives nearby. But yeah, we're gonna be cooking on our own. Um, so that's a little different. And I know a lot of people do have, some conflicts about this whole Thanksgiving thing. And the only thing I can tell you is the weather is in our favor. I've been looking ahead and it looks like it's supposed to be like 62, 65. Um, Maybe rain though. So if anybody had a covered porch, um, that would be a great, or even like a patio. You could certainly do a outdoor Thanksgiving and get to see some family and have it be pretty safe. What I've been reading online, and certainly I'm sure you've been reading as well, it sounds like really there's more concern about ventilation and things passing in the air rather than necessarily touching things on the surface. So it sounds like, any sort of outdoor or really well ventilated um, sort of congregating um, is safer um, than maybe they thought, or they didn't really know. But um, the other thing I wanted to tell you is that Zoom is suspending their 40-minute. Normally they have like a 40-minute limit for their get-togethers, but for over Thanksgiving, I think Thursday and Friday, they're suspending that. So you can Zoom as long as you want to. That's another great option to have a big Zoom call and everybody eat your food while you're Zooming. Um, you know, it's a way to stay in touch and not a bad way. Um, the thing that I've noticed with Zoom calls is that everyone tends to talk at once. So there is sometimes a lot of noise in the background, but that's how it is at the big Thanksgiving table anyway. It's a lot of noise, so it maybe it's a pretty good representation of what we're going for there. Good morning, Dora and Deb. Um, the other thing is that I'm thinking seriously about sending out Christmas cards this year. Um, I have done it in the past sporadically, but I might actually do it this year. So if you want a Christmas card, and I would be happy to send any of you a Christmas card, just you know my email address because we've corresponded via email. Just send me your mailing address, and you might get one. Now I can't guarantee it'll get you, it'll get to you, Well, I can't guarantee it'll get to you at all because I've had some ridiculous experiences with the mail lately. People trying to send me donations for classes and things like that and having it just go off. I mean, even more so. I've had issues before, but um, even more so now. So here's one thing I've noticed about the mail. The smaller your card or letter, the more likely it is to be lost. And I think it's just because everything is automated and there's certain sizes that do not go mesh with the whole machine situation very well. So if you see business size envelopes um, are, you know, they're really the play. So it seems ridiculous, but honestly, if you're trying to mail something and you want to make sure it gets there, I'd go for your business size envelope. It's a much safer um, bet, I think. But again, I can't guarantee it'll get there by Christmas or even by the end of the year. Also, I can't guarantee I'll mail it before then. Um, I probably will because I don't feel like this is going to be such a chaotic year. But generally, my rule of thumb is if I can get Christmas cards out um, by January, I think it's good. It's sort of a seasonal card. Um, there's a lot of holidays going on for the next month or so, month and a half. So it all kind of fits together. So yeah. Um, all right, what should we talk about today? Let's talk a little bit about. So I think we touched on this a little yesterday when we were talking about devotion and getting to know your internal self. Um, and this fear that people have about getting to know themselves. Um, and this can be a very pervasive fear, right? You'll see people who try to fill their whole day with stuff. Um, they don't do well on their own, right? They want company everywhere they go. They want company. They need someone to talk to. They need to be on the phone with someone. They need to be texting. They need to be um, watching TV or something. There's has to be a distraction, right? Distraction, distraction, distraction. So when I see people like this, I wonder, right, what is going on there? And a lot of times, people are afraid to sit with their thoughts because they fear the worst, right? They have this feeling that there's a very dark place inside, and if they sat and listened to it or saw it, it would be too much for them, right? They would not be able to deal with that. It would be super upsetting and super distressing. And like so many other things in our life, your imagination is so much worse than the reality, right? The reality is we all have dark places inside. We have dark and we have light. We all do. Every single one of us, the nicest, kindest, most holy person you've ever met has thought terrible thoughts at some time in their life. They may feel like they're carrying, a secret. Um, they're living a lie, right? Because outwardly they're so kind and so peaceful, and inwardly everything in there is so rough. That's very normal, right? We all of us go through times of that in our life. Sometimes those are extended times. Sometimes um, it's always been that way, and we don't know the difference. Um, but again, like everything else in your life, you're not going to be able to change this until you address it. You have to look at it. You have to face it and see it's really not so bad. Um, there are um, good reasons and good, um, how do I want to say this? avoiding this stuff is a coping mechanism for many people. And it could be something very small, or it could be something huge, right? People who have big trauma in their life um, tend to shut it down and disassociate from it. And I'm by all means, right? If you've got a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff, I am not by any means telling you to unpack that and get into that, especially not on your own. But if you know that about yourself, if you have that in your history, and you have never addressed it or looked at it, you know, therapy is great. Therapy is it's like someone to kind of guide you in some of this, and I would highly recommend giving it a try. Um, it can it can help you kind of see that things aren't as dark as you might have expected them, and just like we were talking before about this idea of how things get better as you age. So I was talking before about knitting, how terrible I was at 20, and at 40, I figured it out. It's the same way with looking at ourselves, right? What terrified us at 20 doesn't look so bad at 40. And by the time you get to 60, you've seen a lot of terrible stuff. There's less that surprises you. And sometimes the distance from something to now makes it less scary. Right? And the naming of it, the talking about it, also diffuses some of that power that you've given whatever this is that you're carrying around inside. Um, so I highly recommend, you know, any kind of therapy. There's a lot of online stuff now, which I think is great, because again, you have a different level of control with that. There's a distance to it that makes it feel a little less in your face, right? A little less confrontational. I think that sometimes people get that feeling that there's, you know, a role that they're expected to play. Um, so I would say certainly, but for many of us, it isn't anything as deep and dark and scary as that. It's just regular stuff, right? Regular, you know, mean thoughts, bad intentions, selfishness, all of this stuff that we kind of haul around with us. Um, accept it. Accept that that is part of who you are. That is part of all of us. And we cannot get past it until we see it, until we acknowledge it. Um, if you want to change and do something different, you can't deny what has happened, what has uh, built you to where you are, right? And you can't change until you see what the problem is. So take a look at that dark place, right? See what's in there. Open up the closet and kick things around a little. See what falls out. Um, and again, don't feel alone in this. We all have to dig through that closet from time to time. Get some light in there. Empty it out. Um, so the light and the dark, those are, you know, we have this, they're ultimate themes, right? Everything we've ever, you know, if you look at like every story that you've ever heard, every movie you've ever seen, every tale that's ever been told, it's a conflict between the light and the dark, um, the sun and the moon, and the day and the night, and everything in our life, in our experience, in our universe, is a combination of these two elements. We are no different. In some ways, um, it's amazing, right? And inspiring if you think about it. It would be easy, right? And I think we tend to look at certain people and say, well, that person is amazing, right? That person is perfect. They do everything right. Um, We look at sometimes world leaders this way. We look at, inspirational figures. We've got, I'm going to use Gandhi for an example, right? Gandhi, I mean, amazing guy, did so many things, put his life on the line to try to get things, to get the British out of India, to let India rule itself. Deeply religious, deeply committed guy, gave up his life for all of this. Literally gave up his life, was assassinated because of all of this. Once he'd accomplished so much. Deeply flawed guy, right? Also kind of weird, had some really weird habits and some strange stuff that he was into. Had some, allegations of untoward behavior towards women. Like, again, like not nobody, I would be so great, right? If we could say, okay, this person's perfect. But it's not so great, right? Because when you do that, you make them other. You make them something other than you. We are all the same. Some of us are smarter. Some of us are better educated. Some of us work harder than others. There's a lot of things that make us different, but our at our core, at what our raw materials, we're the same, right? We've got the same impulses, the same fears, the same desires, the same temptations. Um, in some ways, it makes it so much more amazing if you think of these people doing these great things, still struggling with all of the same stuff we're struggling with, but they overcome it, at least some of the time, right? Um, so, in that respect, we want to be aware. Everyone is prey to this. Everyone, even people who are very accomplished and educated and clever and all of these things, they are prey to these impulses, these dark impulses, and they may act on them. They may be overcome by them. There's no guarantee, right? That I like that. There's a phrase that I like that I've seen in, I think it's, I don't remember, it must have been an ad for maybe like a investing firm or something like that, but it's past performance is not an indicator of future gains. Right? So what someone has done in the past is no guarantee that things aren't going to change in the future. So we want to be aware. We don't want to give away our power, give away our um, discernment, our ability to tell right from wrong to someone simply because they look pretty good. They look pretty good on the outside. Hey, they've done a lot of good things. That seems like a good guy. Maybe so. And let's give him credit for what he did. Yes, he did a lot of good things. Good guy. But hey, we can still notice, okay, he's still got some struggles. He's still got a way to go. Um, up and down, light and dark. We've got it inside. Everybody's got it inside. All we got to do is work for the light, right? Every day, every decision, every choice, every time we're given the option to decide, are you going to make the good choice or the bad choice? The choice that takes everyone into consideration or the selfish choice that just benefits you? Um, we aren't always going to do the right thing. I mean, we just aren't. Um, that's okay. It's an aggregate, right? We're trying to move this way. Um, and we can. I think it gets easier as we go. Just like every other thing, right? It becomes a habit, a way of looking at things. We are feeding that light side. This is another quote, which, I mean, this is, I've seen this online so much, but it's such a nice way of thinking about it. And it's supposed to be Native American. I don't know if it really is. It may be just, an internet quote, but the idea is that the grandfather's speaking to his grandson, and he says, inside of you are two wolves, the evil wolf and the good wolf. They're in an eternal fight, struggling. And the grandson says, well, grandfather, which one will win? And the grandfather says, the one you feed. And it's a great way of looking at it. When you feed the light grows. When you feed the darkness takes over. Most of us are somewhere in between, right? We're feeding this and then we're feeding that. Let's try to feed the light a little bit more. And it's a great way to kind of overcome the dark. Keep doing those making those good choices, and watch, the dark kind of fall away, right? It will have less of a hold. It will diminish. Okay. But it's there. Know it's there. Be accepting of that. You don't have to deny it or pretend it's not there. Just let it be. And cover it up with light stuff. Bring more light in there. Open up the curtains and, open the closet door. Let that stuff fall out. Don't worry about it. All right. Moving with some asana. And just keep it going. I think I may have to move my setup here. I have the laptop set up on top of the radiator, and it's got like a box that it sits on, but I'm not sure if it's not getting hot or not. I'm gonna have to check it out. So this is, the first time we've done this with heat. The heater's been on, and it's pretty warm in this room. It's not cold, but I'm just not sure how that's going to affect the laptop. It gets pretty hot, that radiator. I may have to put a heat, heat resistant something in between. I'm not sure. All right, well, sitting up, breathe, relax. And hang the head down. Move it around, big circle. One way and then the other. Lean forward, move around. One way and the other. Back up, arms wide. Take a deep breath, and then on the exhale, we're bringing hands together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And once more. Inhale. And exhale. Interlace the fingers. Lift the hands. Let's gaze up. And then arms down by your side. Inhale, lift. And lower. lift, and lower. Inhale, lift, roll the shoulders back. And forward. Right hand on left knee, left arm behind you, sit up tall, deep breath, take a twist, back to center and switch sides. And back to center. Tabletop. Moving through cat-cow. Inhales. Exhales. Sitting back on the heels. And then moving back up. Tabletop. Let's swing the right leg around. Up on the knee. Arms up overhead. Hands to center. Take a deep breath and moving to the right. Pulling right shoulder back. You could hook the elbow here if you want. And then back to center, right hand, down by the foot, left arm lifts. Both hands down to the mat. Let's walk it out a little. And you can either walk that foot in front or maybe slide the knee back. I slid the knee back just to whatever level of kind of stretch that you want here. And then walk the hands back. We're straightening out the right leg. Folding over. And then set the foot down. We're going to swing it back. Coming into child's pose. Maybe bring the legs a little wider. Moving back up. Swing left leg around. Arms up overhead. And then hands to center. Take a deep breath. Twisting the shoulders to the left. Moving back to center, left hand down by the foot, lifting up the right. And then both hands down, walking out a little bit. Breathe. Walk the hands back, straightening out that left leg, and then maybe folding over. Set the foot down, swing the leg around. We're back into child's pose. So maybe for this one, bring the knees closer. And we're going to stack the fists and rest the forehead. Moving back up. Tabletop, walk the hands out a little bit, and then we're lowering down. Let's just lift up the head and chest. We'll lift up the hands, or you could keep the hands on the mat. We're just going to do Cobra, but you want to use the body, not the arm strength, to lift up. And lower down. Head turns to the right, arms by your side. Head to center, lifting up, head and chest, the arms and the legs. And lowering down, head to the left. And then head back to center. Pressing up, tabletop to child's pose. My earring stuck in my ear. That's weird. Back up, and let's just come to a seat. Soles of the feet together. Sitting up tall, take a deep breath, and then lean forward. I feel a little off with this. Let's see how that is today. So, right, if it doesn't feel good, take the time to adjust. Something about this feels off to me today, so I'm not going to go very far. I'm just going to go a little ways. So this is the beauty of doing these poses frequently, is that you start to know when things are normal or feeling abnormal. And you can kind of ease off, right? If something isn't feeling the way it normally does, maybe you do it a little differently or a little less. Come on back up, both legs out in front. Deep breath, fold forward. Remember here that sometimes bending your knees a little bit will actually let you fold more rather than trying to press those knees down straight. Hamstrings are frequently kind of a binding point for a lot of people. So giving yourself kind of soft knees allows you to do a little bit more with the hips and the back. Coming back up, bend the right knee. We'll hug it in close. And then lower out to the side. Bring that foot in. Deep breath, fold forward. Come back up. Switch. Breathe and then lower that knee out. Deep breath in, fold forward. Back up. Both legs out in front. Inhale, fold. And then back up. Let's point and flex. Rotate. Listen to everything creak and crack. And then come back the other way. So yeah, we're going to hear, when you're moving your body around, you're going to hear all kinds of weird things. Muscles cracking, or not muscles, joints cracking. Sometimes that cracking is the movement of ligaments, right? They kind of pop when they're moving around. Sometimes it's the joints themselves. It's all normal. I mean, if you experience pain with it, that's not good. But it's a lot of people just have noisy joints. Your stomach gurgling. Hopefully, everyone knows by now. Don't eat before yoga. If you do want to eat something, try to make it some time before yoga and make it something light, right? Because obviously pressure on your stomach and everything is not going to feel good if you've had a lot to eat. But your stomach will be gurgling and moving around, making noises. You may experience flatulence. That is also normal. It happens all the time. I hear people in class. It happens to me. It's nothing to feel nervous about or worried. The body is just this amazing structure, and different things are happening all the time. So, just let whatever needs to happen. Bend the knees, soles of the feet to the mat. We're going to lower down. Resting here. Take a few breaths. And then let's hug that right knee in. Left leg is long. Lowering the knee out to the side. And then bring the knee back to center. We're going to draw it across the body, rolling up on the left hip. Back to center and switch, extending the right leg, bringing that left in close. Lowering the knee out to the side. And then coming to center and across the body. Back to center. Extend both legs long. Let's do 5-pointed star. Relax and breathe. And then everything comes to center. Get your block. Just a short supported bridge. And then you can take the block out, rest back on the mat, soles of the feet together, knees apart. Take a few breaths. And then when you want to, you can move into Savasana, either in this position or extending the legs long. Or whatever you need to get in a comfortable place. Keep breathing. Steady, comfortable breath. So when we can accept the light and the dark, we can truly accept ourselves. We may feel regret about the dark, right? Wouldn't it be great if the world was nothing but light? Um, and I mean, in some ways it would, right? Wouldn't it be great if everyone always did the right thing? Then we would be in paradise. And um, that is not what this is, right? That's maybe beyond this space. This space is to teach us. We're here to learn. We're here to improve, to become the best version of ourself that we can be. And that doesn't happen when everything is peaceful and calm, right? We strive for that state within us, but we are learning by adversity. We are given challenges to overcome. If all you had were easy choices, what would we learn? If everything in your life was smooth sailing, how would you learn anything about how to sail, right? How to steer your own personal boat. Um, Even when we're on the path, we are given challenges. In fact, sometimes when you are very close to something is when the challenges get fierce. Um, to see, right? Are you really committed to this? Um, are you just going through the motions, or are you determined? Are you resolved? So embrace what comes your way, the light and the dark. Learn from it. Become a better version of you. So when you're ready, moving a little bit, fingers and toes, hands and feet, stretching if you feel like it. And then making your way up to a seat. We'll bring our hands together. Deep breath in and out. Thank you for coming to your mat this morning and for sharing your yoga with me. I hope that you have a really good Tuesday. Namaste. Thank you. On to some short meditation, 5 minutes. You can't get much shorter than that. I mean, I guess you can. I've never heard of people doing less, but you probably could. So sitting up tall, relax the shoulders, breathe, find that steady focus, just lightly. Okay. There we go. That felt like a super long 5 minutes to me. I don't know. I think I wasn't in the zone today. I think I was thinking about other things. All right. Well, enjoy your Tuesday. I think I'm going to, it's a little cold to work outside, so I may not do anything today, but I think I'm going to have one more week of good stuff. I think I'm looking forward toward December, and it looks like it gets pretty cold. So I think at the end of November is going to be the end of my work window for outdoors. So we'll see what we can get done. Um, I think I'm going to bake today and make pies. I make pies. That's what I do. I don't really do a lot of other stuff. I guess I make cookies sometimes, but pies are my thing. So Thanksgiving is my pie time. I don't make them all the time, just really at Thanksgiving. But I do make a few. The peak pie, we had 8 pies once. That was when my dad was still around, and we had a larger people for Thanksgiving, larger amount of people. I mean, the people weren't any larger, really, but maybe they were after the pie. But now, less pie. But we still have way more pie than we need, just because that's what we do. Okay, I'll be back tomorrow, and I will see you then.